Welcome to the English version of our weekly program, Para Ser Legal to Be Legal. Today, Fiancé Visa, all things Fiancé Visa.
Calificas para ser legal, quieres saber, solo llama al abogado Andrés Mejer.
How long does it take to get my green card through the Fiancé process, and how much does it cost? So I previously talked about how much it costs to get your family-based green card and how long does it take. See the link below for that video. Today, we're talking about getting the green card when the process was started through the Fiancé Visa. Why does that matter? Because it is a different process. Now, for those of you who've been watching these videos for a while, you know the answer to this question. How much does it cost or how long does it take? Well, the answer is it depends. I know. You ask an attorney yes or no, they give you a third option. I'm sorry, but it's true. It depends on what do you ask? Well, it depends on how many steps you're going to need to take. Your Fiancé green card process will typically have 4 to 10 steps. In them, they all have at least 4, but some of them may have more. The first step is to fill out Form I-129F. But we need to make sure that there's no criminal conduct or financial issues. We typically charge between $2,000 to $4,000 to prepare the form, depending on how complex it is and how many people are receiving the benefit. For example, if your wife has minor children that want to come in with her. Now, we need to evaluate the U.S. citizen's past criminal conduct. If you've been arrested, we'll need to get an FBI background search, and we'll need to make sure there are no serious crimes listed there. If there are, we may need to reopen those crimes and try to change the outcome through a post-conviction relief motion. Now, PCR can be expensive, but the cost really depends on what the conviction is. If it's a shoplifting, I'm not concerned. I'm really concerned about domestic violence issues and sex abuse of minors. Those are really a big deal, and about the only things that can really impede you or prevent you from applying for your immigrant fiance. Now, if your fiance, the immigrant, has a criminal record or a prior misrepresentation, she may need a waiver. Waivers typically cost between $3,000 and $6,000. Obviously, I can't go to Ecuador and help her with the post-conviction relief motion. That is not an option, but maybe there's the possibility of changing that outcome in her home country, but that would require finding an attorney that handles those type of things in that state. It's often much easier to do a waiver. In the U.S., I could do a post-conviction relief motion. If you're in New Jersey, if you're in a state where I'm licensed, like New York or New Jersey, I can go in or my team can go in and help you. If you're in California, again, we may need to find a criminal defense attorney in California, but that's a whole lot easier. We have contacts and we have criminal defense attorneys all across the country that have helped us in a variety of different things. So post-conviction relief motion may be possible, or a waiver. Now, does your fiance have any kids that she wants to bring with her to the United States? Again, earlier I talked about making sure that your fiance has sole custody of them in order to bring them in, and that she already has the passport for them. But assuming she has that, well, there's additional expenses, additional costs to bring to dependents. It's usually between $500 to $1,000 per dependent. We usually charge about $500 per kid. It's paperwork, but it's not. It all depends on your relationship. Second step, second concrete step, because obviously we might have done a post-conviction relief motion, we might need to do a waiver, but the second typical concrete step will be through the Department of State. You will have to fill out the DS-160, and you will need to prove your ability to support your fiance using Form I-134. Your fiance is going to be interviewed at the U.S. consulate embassy closest to her, and once approved, she will have 120 days to enter the U.S. The cost varies between $2,000 to $4,000, again, depending on how many dependents does she have. Now, if you don't earn enough money, we talked about before, how much do you need to earn to maintain her at 100% of the federal poverty guidelines, but you should be focused on 125% because at the end of the day, you're going to be applying for the green card in a very short period of time. If you don't earn enough money, you will need to earn more by getting a different job or work longer hours or get a joint sponsor. That's part of the strategy process that we help you through before you file. You don't want to find out all the way at the end that you don't earn enough. You don't have an ability to change that at that point. You got to do it. That's why strategy is important. You got to do that at the outset. Now, maybe the decision is you're going to include a joint sponsor. Maybe you're a student, you're still in school, you're not earning a lot, but you're filing for your fiance that you met while you were on vacation, and your parents are going to help you as a joint sponsor. Perfectly legitimate, easily to explain. We typically charge between $500 to $1,000 to include the joint sponsor. Again, it really depends on the complexity. Is it income-based? Is it asset-based? It's just a function of how much time we need to spend in order to document and prove your case. If you owe, again, you the U.S. citizen, if you owe back taxes, you may want to pay it off or enter into a payment plan with the IRS and stay current throughout this process. Usually this is something your accountant is going to help you with, not us. Again, we, out of an abundance of caution, we are doing our utmost to take away any excuse that immigration or the Department of State will have to deny your petition. Back taxes is not one of the ones that typically they deny it, but good moral character is, and we don't want to give them any excuse. On the same reason, if you owe child support, you may want to pay off or enter into a payment plan to become current. If you need to modify your child support through the court process in New Jersey, we charge between $3,500 or $7,500, depending on the circumstance. How complex is this? Is this a hearing or is this a trial? So are we modifying something, or there was never an agreement to begin with? Are you in arrears? Is there an order of arrest for you? So again, there's a lot of factors that we would need to go into how much we charge for that. It's a case-by-case basis, but just to give you an idea. Third step is after she enters the U.S., you guys get married within 90 days, and then you apply for a green card by using Form I-45, again, within 90 days. The cost is typically $3,000 to $6,000. Again, depends on who, is it just her or is it her and her kids? Because you would need to file individually for each one. Also, there's a filing fee that immigration is going to charge that's $1,275 or so per person. So if she has 2 minor kids, guess what? You're spending about $4,000 in expenses to the government. Now, this is the step where she goes from fiance to lawful permanent resident, and you have to file it within 90 days of when she entered the U.S. If you don't, there's still possibilities for her, but now she's accrued in lawful presence. If you ultimately don't marry, she's very limited into her options to change status legally in the United States, because she promised that she would marry you and it didn't work out for whatever reason. Now, there are additional costs for dependents under 21, like I explained. We're going to have to do an I-45 for each one of them as an immediate relative. I told you the government's going to charge you a lot of money per person. We typically charge $500 to $1,000 for the dependent. It's mostly the filing fees that the government's going to charge. And hey, you should move quickly, because Trump has said, USCIS has said they want to increase prices by 10%, and he's increasing some prices during the summer by almost 500%. So this $1,275, they now want to charge $2,700 for this process per person. That's a significant increase. If she was charged with any crimes, she would need to defend those. So now we're talking about she comes into the U.S., she's here, and now she's charged with a crime, and she wants to file for a green card. Well, now she's going to have to defend those charges before she gets the green card. The costs vary depending on what the charge is. If there was any misrepresentations in prior petitions, let's say in prior tourist visas or even in the Fiancé Visa, if she said one thing when she meant something else, she said she was divorced before, she said she was married, now she comes to the interview and she's never previously been married, or vice versa. She has whatever it is, there's a misrepresentation, government could require her to file a waiver, and this typically costs between $3,000 and $6,000. Now, the last step usually is the green card interview at USCIS offices. In the past, it wasn't always required. Today, you're pretty much getting it 100% of the time. We usually charge $1,500 to attend the interview with you. Doesn't matter if you're bringing 10 dependents or just her, it's the same cost. If you are fortunate, the officer will approve your petition the same day. If not, and in most cases, they don't decide the same day, the officer has 120 days to decide. Now, They don't always decide within 120 days. Sometimes it takes more, in which case you need to decide you're going to sue the government. So the four things above happen often, but not all of them in every case. It is unusual to have to file waivers or defend immigrants on the green card stage when we've assisted them in the fiancé stage. It's unusual, but we've done it and it is possible. Because at the end of the day, they've been in the U.S. a very short period of time, 90 days, now another 5 months. They've been in the U.S. less than a year. You know, the fact that you'd get charged with a significant crime is unusual, but it does happen. This whole process has been taking 16 to 24 months. Now, again, we're talking about the fiancé visa, then enter the United States, marrying, and then file for the green card. The typical cost is $6,000 to $9,000 in legal fees. Could it be a lot more? Heck yeah, it could be a lot more. If we need more waivers, if there's post-conviction relief motions, if there's stuff that we're doing for the U.S. citizen as well as what we're doing for the beneficiary in order to clean up, to make sure that the process, once filed, gets streamlined and gets done as quickly as possible, it can get complicated and it can get expensive. But when done right, process goes a whole lot smoother. If this was helpful to you, please subscribe to the channel and share it with at least one person you think it could help. If you have questions, we have answers. Call us at the number below. My name is Mejer. It was a pleasure to talk with you today, and I look forward to seeing you next week.